An existing campground that had been in existence for recreational use since the 1920s. We have gone through some initial updates, and this plan here is a redevelopment plan. That the goals were to take a look at existing recreational needs, the existing uses for the area, and redevelop a site to meet current and hopefully future recreationalist needs here at the RV park. We reviewed the plan in fairly good detail last month, but in short, when we acquired it, there was 101 total recreational sites that included cabins. Some of those cabins were actually trailer houses and RVs, and 85 RV sites. So some of those were tent sites, some of those were full hookup sites. Overall, the facilities were fairly aged. The south part of the campground used to be a mobile home park, and that's been slowly transitioned over the last 15 to 20 years, according to the old owner, to where there's just two manufactured structures there that are privately owned, and they rent a space. So this redevelopment plan looked at installing new electrical, all utilities, so new electrical, new water lines, reconnecting sewer lines as needed, and then redeveloping the sites. The sites in the plan total 89 total sites. That's 8 cabins, 27 pull-through sites, 31 back-end sites, and 5 group sites.
That's good to you?
Yes.
Did you want that one?
Well, I was hoping to have it on both screens. Does that work? We got one. Don't you know? Okay. Sorry, I've been watching some Canadian TV shows and it rubs off. So,
There you are.
hoorah. Magic. All right. So now you get to see the picture as well, so I don't have to talk so colorfully. These sites, see if I can get it to zoom in. The sites that we have designed here are about 25 feet in width. Right now they're about 12 feet in width. They also are about 60 to 85 feet in length, so they're much longer. Currently our sites are, the longest is 60 feet. Most of the sites are in the 45 to 30 foot spacing. So we have a wider site. The sites are going to be paved, and even the buffer in between will be paved. This will facilitate OHVs for their trailers and extra equipment. They'll do that. And around, and then we'll have a concrete site where we'll have a fire pit and a picnic table. Back, middle to the back, which is per code, which is phase 1. See if I can roll this down a little bit. We'll have more sites. Right now we have 26 sites in here. As you see, we're looking to have as many pull-throughs as we can have, which is allows the users to not unhook their trailer and to roll right in, as well as it reduces backing in, which some people have great experience at. Some, like me, have it not as much, so it's a much more dune access here. So directing OHV activity to connect through, similar to the space that we're at now, where they're not going out onto the road space. We'll have a new restroom that'll be located here, and then we'll have another one in the other loop. We'll have a small playground. There'll be a dog park, potential little area, a little off-leash area that'll be fenced in. All of our be 50 amp coverage throughout, Wi-Fi, and all the things that our patrons want. Up here is where the new retail office elements would be. We'll have a pull in, so if you're with a trailer or if you're pulling out, we'll have a way to. Our model is not to come into the office and check in. If we don't talk, it's a great weekend, and that's sort of the model that we're trying to utilize. But some people still would like to come in and ask directions, have stuff, so we'll have to pull off. We're going to consolidate all of our trash and recycling in this area as well, so we'll have it consolidated in the middle to help facilitate the pack it in, pack it out sort of arrangement, as well as it'll hopefully reduce our, what do they call that? Neighborhood home trash being deposited out in the corners of the park, so we're going to have that centralized. There's a through street here that is a county road, and we're going to block it off on this side with the gate, so it'll still be there for emergency egress or emergency access, but we'll have this turned into overflow park. Enter and exit onto Salmon Harbor Drive. In the phase 2, sort of the northern section of the park, we're reducing our density. So right now there's an additional lane here. We're doing that for a couple reasons. One is to provide those bigger, longer, larger sites that people want, and to make sure that our turning radius here meets for the size of vehicles and trailers we have. We'll have a new restroom placed over here. We'll have all of our cabins placed on the bay side and a group site. So we'll have a total of 3 group sites. The implementation of this will take several years. We're already funded through a local government grant to install this restroom and start some redevelopment down here on this side. And as grants and revenues appear, we'll continue to move forward and making those adjustments. In front of you, recommendation to, I gotta look at exactly what I said. Staff's asking for a recommendation approval of the redevelopment plan today to be as our guide point, our direction, approving Umpqua Dunes to meet current and future recreational needs. Any questions from the board?
Can you point out where the condos are at?
The condos are right here.
Okay, great. And we have public water and sewer.
We do.
Okay, great.
You said there's a few homes left that were private. I mean, our access, making sure it's there via past the pull-out area.
So the current mobile homes, there's one located here and one located roughly here. The plan is working with the land department to transition those to not be on site and turn the site into completely a non-residential.
So kind of grandfathered in from the.
So they have been there, but we've the land department is providing them with a lease termination of it. So we'll have until the beginning of 2020 to look to move out.
So it seems like you've worked hard over time to really meet all objections or at least address those concerns and get a lot of input from the public. So moving forward, do you still have areas that you think are going to be points of contention for anyone?
I think sound is always an issue. We have this neighborhood up here that's to our southeast that people live up there, as well as there's a lot of rentals and OHVs come through and are coming across the road. That's a key complaint. I know we had a lot of fireworks over Memorial Day that were coming from off property, which were an issue for those. So I think ongoing, our neighbors, residential neighbors, will continue to be concerned in regards to quiet hours, as well as controlling that access to reduce the safety concerns that they see.
Was that one of the reasons you shut that road down to stop?
Yes, as well as we wanted to, from a, my words disappeared. I keep, every day it gets worse and worse.
Just wait.
Yeah, 5-minute breaks here soon. But from an aesthetic perspective, we wanted to channelize and control access into one point and have a formal entrance and have a front-facing part of the park and sort of a back of the park.
Okay,
So,
that makes sense. That was good support.
Okay, let's move on to salvage logging plans.
sure, and so the background is over the last year and a half, 2 years, we've been trying to address hazard trees in our park, and I did some of that work this last winter. We've found 2 other parks that we're looking to have to do either some salvage logging, or we're going to have to hire someone to go in and do some cleanup to remove some of the hazard trees, safety concerns, as well as just reopen access for recreation. Both of these properties at Cabot Creek and Dyke Memorial Park have been submitted for salvage logging permits through ODF, and there was that review process. We did that quite a while ago. As many of you know, in February we had this little thing called Snuffleupagus. Well, he said. Mine seemed more like a snuffleupagus, but and that created a lot of down trees. Our focus to date has been trying to open up the front-facing day use areas, campgrounds, and doing that cleanup. At Knife, we identified that through the help of OET and other partners, is that there's a lot of trees down in the back of the property across trails. Some of those appear to be merchantable trees, as well as we have at least on one neighbor 15 trees that have come down in one little area that have crushed their fence and now are impacting their property. So we need to get in there to clean those trees up. So we have sort of 2 options to look at for Knife specifically, which is, one is we can hire someone to go in there and do a log out and clean up and chip and do that work. If we do that and we want to be reimbursed partially by FEMA, we have until August 1st to get that accomplished. So we don't have much time. Alternatively is we could see if there's entities in the county that are interested in acquiring those logs to do that work, and there'd be no cost to the county, parks, as well as potentially some revenue. And maybe not very much, but at least it'd be a cost neutral or reduce our costs. At Cabot Creek, we identified a stand of trees that is to the south of the park. When you come in, there's the main entrance is off to your right. That stand initially about a year and a half ago was about 30% deceased. It was closer to 60% deceased, and now it's just about every stem in there is dead or dying, and so it's really taking a I don't know if it's a combination of drought, beetle, I don't know the causes. I just know the effect is that I've got sites back in there for picnicking where these trees are over, as well as the whole stand is now becoming a fuel load potentially for our neighbors and for fires. So we're looking to, again, the option there would be is to see if we can get a salvage logging contract for someone who would go in there and remove those trees, or at our cost. We wouldn't be able to have FEMA assistance on that property, would be to go in there and fall all those trees and have them removed or have them sold for firewood.
Question?
Yes, ma'am.
So, I guess it feels like we were just talking about these parks not too long ago on the trees. If there's damage done from one storm, have you looked at the entire parks and what needs to be looked? I mean, are there more trees that are standing that could potentially fall, I guess?
So at Cabot Creek, we have looked at that whole property because it's a small property, and we're looking to address all those issues there. At Knife, we're just looking at the storm damage at this time. I know before we were looking at trying to inventory all of the dead trees out there. When I submitted this, I wasn't looking at it from the, trying to remove those other hazard trees or dead trees. I know we've had communication from neighbors to do that. And if that's a direction that you guys think that we should look at, is take a more holistic look at tonight to remove those, that's something that we could try to do.
Looking at it as a whole, and it feels like we just talked about this not
Right.
too long ago in each individual park. So I personally would like to see the entire park looked at, to see if maybe there's more trees that could come down, but that's just my opinion.
Well, I'll echo that. I'd like to see, kind of evaluation of all the parks. I know that I work for Douglas Electric, and we've had quite a few outages after the storm because there's a lot of standing dead trees. And now that I don't know if it's because the soil's dried out or the trees died and rotting, but when the wind comes up, it doesn't take very much, and even with the right of way, our trees are so tall, they'll come down the right of way and take power out. I have really real concerns about, the dead tree coming down and fire dangers. We've got a prior record fuel level on the ground, and I think the last thing I want to do is make the news of Paradise, California.
Right.
And are they taking out good trees that they fall?
Those are good points. I know, for example, at Stanton Park, where we did some hazard tree removal this winter, there's another 4 or 5 trees that have now are dead. And one of them, I was there last weekend, and I looked at this tree, and I'm like, I flagged that tree to be cut down. And I walked over there, and it's right by the helicopter little climbing thing. And sure enough, there was a stump there, but it was a tree next to it now that's completely dead. So it's happening really fast, and so I really don't understand what's going on, but it is creating more and more problems, and I think it's going to continue to be.
It is our responsibility as a county to identify hazard trees and to make sure, because that's what they are, a hazard to life and property. They have to be removed. We have to have a good strategy and to take care of that. It's unfortunate that I see it on my property. We had loggers up yesterday looking at dead and dying trees, and they've got to come down. It's the combination, if I understand it, of course, dry conditions, and then there's not the tree doesn't produce adequate sap to then prevent the bug, the beetle infestation. And once that's underway, that's going to continue to grow, and we have years of problems of anti-logging zealotry that has prevented management of our forests in general, and just prevented us from doing the right logical thing in removing these dead and dying trees and clearing out that forest. Our parks can be managed well in that regard.
And the healthy trees, remove the dead trees, become more healthy because they get more light. They get more share of the water. The dying trees aren't taking up water. So that's, I think it helps promote health.
Do we plant new trees out of curiosity?
We do. Maybe not the same number of stems, but we do. Just depends upon the site. Where, like at Worsted Bend, where we lost a lot of trees in the campground. So putting in this, 3 trees for every tree we removed in that campground doesn't make sense. But we are looking to replant that area as well as provide other vegetation for the recreational needs, as well as to replenish those natural elements.
And these dead diseased trees do not have much market value.
No, that's and even if they were of not dead and diseased, the market is really low. So really, it's not I'm not looking to do this as generating revenue. It's about trying to be cost neutral as well as removing the hazard.
Rocky, I want to reiterate to a point that I brought to you earlier, that I'm going to recuse myself from any action on tonight because of my firm's involvement with estate planning. But I'm curious, have you been able to identify what the opposition is to removing these trees? Whether or not there's an objection to a revenue producing operation or whether or not it is centered